Hey everyone, I just am so excited to introduce you to my friend Heather. We are friends on social media only. I've never met her in person. This is the first time I've seen her face other than in a picture on Facebook. And so I'm so excited for her to be here just a little bit. I'm just gonna ask her to tell her story. She is a master storyteller, and I absolutely love her journey. So I sent her three questions in advance just to let her know kind of what I wanted to talk about. But a little bit about her. She is a Navy girl. Yes. And she had some experience in the Navy, and that pushed her into, which is the story I haven't heard that I do want to hear, to make some decisions that involved coffee roasting and brewing and selling, and Jeep driving, and it involves a dog and all of the above. So my first question, I think you're on mute, Amber. I mean Heather. I said Amber. I was just talking to Amber. Heather is on mute. There she is. So my first question for you, I mean, if you don't mind starting off, is just share your story about the Navy. You had some issues there that kind of set your journey, as I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you to all of you for listening to me, inviting me. I find it just a phenomenon that someone would want to listen to me, especially because I'm a mama of two children. And so, like, my voice is not always heard, right? And so, this to me is gold. So I just first and foremost really want to say that, and I think a lot about like how do you introduce yourself, right, to people and what impact that might make, because I want this to resonate with people, and to me this is such like a purpose filled thing to share your story, right? Why are we here? What are we doing? And for me, it really means a lot to be able to try and make that impact, but not only like impact here with us, but I hope and pray that my whatever I say today resonates and is so impactful that you share it with your friends, right? Or you share it with your children, or it's so impactful that it is put upon your children and they share it with their children, right? I mean, generational change is my goal. And so I preface that always when I start telling my stories, because sometimes I get on these points and these things, and you're probably going, what? That didn't have anything to do with the story. And the point is, I'm trying to summarize, I guess, my story, because it's a long one, into impactful segments. So with that, the Navy story is the training story. It happened with me. I joined the Navy at 25, which is a little bit older than most people will join the Navy. Most join at 18, right, or sometime in that age range. And for me, I joined at that time because it was a point in which I wanted to do something that I knew I would regret not doing. And so I'd done a lot of different things. You know, I had been married, I had lived in Germany, I had my first baby, I had my first business, and then I joined the Navy. And that was kind of like my woohoo moment. I was really excited. I wanted to give back because I grew up in a home that was not very productive. We'll just say it as nicely as we can. And so when I got older, I wanted to do something good. And I don't know if that came from maybe wanting to make up for how I grew up, not even though it was not on me, but I just wanted to do something good and give back. And so for me, I knew I wanted to serve. I didn't realize it would be the Navy. 25, I realized this is what I'm going to do. This is my good thing that I'm going to do. And so I joined the Navy, went through my training. I was very excited. I was a welder and a firefighter. And during that time, I got injured. And when I got injured, I ended up spending a year in the Wounded Warrior Care Unit. And I ended up spending another 3 years in an electric wheelchair after that. And so I went from, my friends used to call me Superwoman, right? I went from being this mom and personal trainer and owning a business and joining the Navy, and I'm a firefighter and I'm doing all these amazing, great, fun, big things, to not being able to sit up on my own, to not being able to stand, to not being able to walk. And that was, as you can imagine, what a blow. I mean, my friends, literally one of them, I remember it to this day, said it was like watching Superwoman fall. And it really was. It was this moment for me. I just turned into a totally different person on a dime. And it was interesting. I look back and I reflect on it a lot, like looking at these transitions, but I became really ugly, nasty. I was really mean. And if you met me today, you probably wouldn't think that. I like to think that you wouldn't think that I'm mean. But I was nasty and ugly and negative and awful, and I hated everything. I really did. And I don't even like that word. And I just was not the person that you would want to be around. Um, and I had a nurse, and I praise God for her always, because during this time I couldn't wheel a wheelchair on my own, and they hadn't gotten my electric wheelchair yet. And so this nurse wheeled me to a group therapy session in the Wounded Warrior Care Unit. She wheeled me in a manual wheelchair, and she left me there. And it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because she knew, right? Like, she saw that I needed help, even though I didn't want it, right? I grew up in a family that we didn't talk about mental health. We didn't talk about anything really. And so to go to therapy, are you joking? There was no way. I'm like, I'm not going to therapy. I'm not talking to anybody. I'll just muscle through this. I'll do my survival mode thing and I'll rock it out. And I was failing miserably. And she saw it, and she just went and sat me there. And it was such a defining moment for me, because I had went from feeling like I could handle anything, business, family, military, whatever, I felt like I could handle anything. And I went to a complete opposite point of I can't handle anything. And that was really a moment. And for somebody who doesn't know me at all to put me into a situation then and say, no, girl, we are getting up. Whether you want to or not, you're going to. And so it was such an eye-opening experience, because then I had the opportunity to sit in this circle of other people who had situations far worse than I probably could have ever dreamed of. I sat across people who were missing half of their face. I sat across from people that didn't have an arm or a leg or their ears or their eye or what have you. And I'm sitting here with all of my parts and pieces throwing a fit, right? I'm just throwing a fit. And it was amazing, because not only did I sit across from them and see them, but also they have camaraderie. They're joking, they're smiling, they're happy, and it was just this moment. And it took me back actually to a Bible study that I did in Germany. And it was on the term Eucharisteo, which, if you are or are not familiar, it means to find joy or to find gratitude in all things, whether they're good or bad or ugly or what have you, to find the joy. And that's what these people did. I got a front row seat to these people who were joyous and had fun and friends and all of this entire thing about them, even after the worst, right? So that was kind of a really defining moment for me. I got to really not only read about it, but experience it. And that was the beginning of my healing. And then from there, I had friends, and that's where the Jeep thing comes in. I had a Jeep at the time. I had friends that busted me out of the hospital, and they threw me in the passenger seat of my Jeep, and we went off-road. And but again, I got to experience this camaraderie and joy and personhood again, that I didn't feel before. And it really opened my eyes, wow, there is life, there is joy, there's so much to be grateful for through this experience. And that's really where my life, I guess, began to change. And I started thinking, what do I do now? Right? I've made it through.
I love this so much. Okay, I just have one question. I didn't send it to you. I'm sorry. I sent it to you, but I'm just the curious question person. So do you feel like community? I know all of us, the 23 of us, we talk about community all the time, and that how we have to share life together. And I have such a common experience with that. I remember a friend of mine, Kathy Smith in Texas, she just revealed an open, well, it was a closed secret, but she just opened up her world to this secret, and I was like, oh my gosh, and that gave me this permission to open up the world to my secret, which was, and it wasn't even that big of a deal, but it was so big to me as a mom, and I'm sure you can relate to this, but her son was having trouble in math and my son was having trouble in reading. And I was like, I don't want to admit a fault, I don't want to show a crack. I don't want to, because we're strong women. I mean, all of us in here are very strong women, and we don't want to portray that vulnerability lest people see that we're, and judge us as failures. And I love how I mean, seriously, my question on that is, do you feel like that's what community did for you, is let you become vulnerable, and then it was just like this healing moment, like all of a sudden, or
Yes, absolutely. So it actually, what's interesting about it is that's when I started kind of, after I got out of the hospital, I started posting a little bit on social media, tidbits of my story, this and that. And it was 2 falls ago, I had 4 friends in 1 month take their lives. Some of them that had served, some who had not. And it was this moment because I've been searching. What am I doing? What do I do? There's this saying, it says, don't waste your cancer. What are you supposed to learn from it? What are you taking from it? What's your purpose here? And I think there was a connection in that, right? Because I went, look at my community. My community is struggling. What can I do? Because my community did so much for me when I was in those places, those dark places. And so how can I give back? How can I do that? And that's exactly, in that moment, a friend sent me a scripture, and the scripture, I'll paraphrase, but basically it says, confess your sins to one another and pray for one another, and through this you'll be healed, right? And so whether you want to call it sin, problems, stresses, what you insert word, right? Confess these to one another, talk about them with one another, and then pray with each other, problem solve with each other, insert the word, right? And you will be healed. And it's exactly, that is community. And that is 100%, I would say community is what saved me, hands down.
I love that so much. So you were a fitness trainer before, so I can see how this is going to be devastating, that you're, I mean, talk about opposite ends of the spectrum, from fitness trainer to I can't move.
Yes.
Right. So how did you make this mental thing of, okay, I am going to start my own business? I mean, was it, yeah, I don't want to guess, just
Sure. Yeah. So what it came down to, right, with that is it came back to purpose. I had a lot of time in a hospital bed, and I had more time after that in a wheelchair to think about, what am I doing here? What is my purpose? And I just wanted to find basically that community. I wanted to find a way that I could help, give back. And I noticed some common themes, right? I really wanted to help other people find their purpose, because I noticed that when I didn't have a purpose, my life was unfulfilling, and that can be detrimental. I noticed that if I didn't know exactly what my freedom dream goal was, right? Like when we define a lifestyle, and I call it freedom, I tell people we're building freedom. When you envision your perfect lifestyle, it's different for everybody, but what does that look like, right? And how can I help other people do that? And so that was a big thing. And then just how can I bring people together in that like unity? And so when I got into business, I thought, actually, coffee was not my first business. I started a different business before that, and I realized that I didn't feel the connection. I couldn't find that. I was thinking about my friends and the ones that had left us, and I just thought, I'm missing the mark. I'm missing the mark. And this, I swear on everything, this is how it happened. I'm scrolling through Facebook, and an advertisement comes up for a coffee company, not in the off-road industry, just a random coffee company. And I went, oh my God, that's it. When do you connect with people? You connect with people over a cup of coffee, over a drink by a campfire, what have you, food, whatever it is. But to me, coffee is such a connector, coffee, tea, whatever. I just thought, this is it. And so in conjunction with the off-road community, because that's where I feel free. That's where I've met some of my best friends. That's where I feel, how do I say this in the right context? But it's where I felt like I could kind of be cool again, right? Like, because I felt like I went from a trainer and a welder and all these super like, yeah, type, positions in life to nothing. And I thought, what am I going to do now? Like what can I do? What's something cool that I can do now? And off-roading became that for me. And so I felt like I kind of got my mojo back, doing that. And then when we go off-roading, we have these campfires and we do this at the end of the day. And that's where we would sit around and we just talk about it. We talk about life, and whether it was business or friendship or whatever we were facing in life, though, that's when we would sit down around the campfire and we'd have something to drink and we would talk about it. And I was like, this is it.
I love this.
This is it.
I love this so much. So we're all here together for purpose and meaning as well. I mean, of course, there's the financial aspect of it, and I'm sure that's part of it for you too. You've got to earn a living and pay your bills, right? But it's the more interesting part of it for you is that you've never lost this purpose and meaning aspect, and then but you've added into it, you find the value of community and how that is so important in basically saving us. I mean, really. I love this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now you've got coffee and explain just a minute for what is the off-roading community? How would you describe an off-roading community? I've been
Off-roading
following
community.
you, so I get it.
Yeah, we're crazy. Oh no. Off-roading community, anybody that has a 4x4 vehicle, right? It can be anything from the Jeeps, the Tacomas, the Broncos, the what have yous. And it can be, there's a lot of aspects, different variations and levels of this, but it's anybody that owns a 4x4. Sometimes we get together and we just do group meets. Sometimes we go off-roading, and that's my kind of wheelhouse. I climb really big rocks and break my Jeep and sometimes almost flip it over, and it's fine. But I love it. That's what I get into. Not everyone's that crazy. So we've got, mild to wild, but that's the off-road community. And it's really neat because I didn't realize how big of a community it was until I really got injured and people started coming around me. There's a lot of history to it, and it's really cool. If you okay, I'll tell you because I got you and I can. Okay, there's a really cool little fun fact here, but in the Jeeping community, especially, we always wave to each other. So if you see Jeep people always waving, there's actually history to that, And so when the Jeeps came home, a lot of the soldiers that had driven the Jeeps in the war, they would actually wave to each other, and this was for victory. And so you always see the Jeeps waving at each other, and it's just this little string back to the history of what the Jeep is, and it's just a reason that our community kind of stays as tight as it does. We kind of always try to get back grounded and remember, like, hey, this is what started it all, and it's pretty cool.
That is so cool. I remember asking you too about the ducks. I was like, okay, do you get ducked? Do you get ducked all the time? I mean, do you have like a little stash of ducks? I mean, I love the Jeep community. I just think that's just like the coolest thing.
Yeah, we do. And it's fun. So I have a 5-year-old daughter. She loves the ducks. The ducks started, I believe, from a woman in Canada. And it was around COVID-ish time. And she just did it as a way to start spreading joy. And so she would see another Jeep owner, and she just took this little rubber duck and stuck it on their handle. And it was kind of just like, hey, hello, I like your Jeep, whatever. And it just spread like wildfire. And now it's just something the Jeeping community does. We just leave little ducks, and there's so it's crazy now. Now there's ducks and there's little tags that have little funny sayings and hellos and whatever. But they use it as a connector too, because you see a Jeep in the parking lot, maybe it's really cool. You leave a duck and it's got your Instagram handle or whatever,
right.
And then you get to connect with these people.
Well, yeah. and okay, so here's the power of the movement, that we talk about in our group all the time, mission and a movement, and that, Jeep is joy. And I absolutely love this. And coffee is community. And so you and I were chatting a little bit about brewing coffee. Can you just like educate us for a hot second? I didn't ask you this question either before, but I'm just, me, I just get a little sleepy here. But we were talking about mulled coffee and fresh coffee and, different aspects to coffee. And you jumped in and you were like, okay, let me give you the skinny on coffee. Can you just like, since we're recording and I'm going to put this out to the world, I want to give you the opportunity to say your piece about mold-free, GMO, non-GMO coffee.
Yeah, so if there's anybody that'll keep it straight with you, it's me. People will say that all the time. You want the truth? Go talk to Heather. Literally about any subject, just about. I'm like, not that I know everything, but I'll give you my honest opinion on what I do know. But so as far as the coffee realm goes, there's a lot of buzzwords going around about mold-free and myotoxins and this and that and the next thing, right? And so this is kind of, I had jumped in on her post and I try to be nice when I can. But I don't like seeing people fed misinformation. And so I wanted to make sure I went in and said, and so if you are an FDA compliant roaster, and that is the key term, right? If you are an FDA compliant roaster, you are required to know not only that your coffee is mold free, but that any aspect that could potentially lead to mold is not present. And that goes from the second that we get the beans to roasting it, to packaging it, to shipping it. That is just required. And so a lot of people are claiming this, that they don't have myotoxins or they don't have mold. And it's really, we don't claim that. And I'll tell you why, because you would have to literally test every batch to ethically make that claim. So a lot of these companies that are making the claims, they're spot testing, and they're welcome to do that. But for me and what we do, we don't claim that because I just don't think that it's 100% true. And so that's kind of the backstory between that. Also, just a tidbit on myotoxins, they die in the roasting process. So even if they were present, they would be gone through the roasting process. So that's how I just like to educate, because I think that we all get caught. It's marketing, right? And I don't care what industry, there's always these buzzwords and things, and they catch fire, especially when it comes to food. And so when people start getting into that and the buzzwords, I'm like, hold on, let me tell you. So
Love this so much. Yeah, just being forthright. I mean, we do the same thing with the products and programs that we market as well, because the first part of greatness in my book, step one is honesty. Yeah, I mean, are you trustworthy? Can people trust you? So that got me to my last question here. You're now in the coffee business. You've decided on that, and you're going to roast your own. You're going to brew your own. You're going to be honest. You're going to be forthright. You're going to get out there with authenticity, and you're going to rock the world. And you decide to do that through social selling. Am I wrong on that? Is that how you started with this?
That's exactly how I started. And so the reason behind that, I mean, it's just a science thing. If we want to stay kind of on that path, is most of our decisions are made with emotion, right? And we can have an amazing product. I believe in my coffee. I think it's great premium coffee. There are also a lot of coffees out there that are great premium coffees. And so why mine, right? Because I can sit here and tell you, like, we roasted at this and you got to brew it at that. And I'm going to lose you guys, right? Within like 60 seconds, you're checked out. And it could be fascinating and interesting if you're really into it. But most people are like, yep, it tastes good. It doesn't have the stuff in it. Cool. Right. And that's it. And so then it becomes a storytelling thing. And so if you look at bigger companies, like let's talk like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, like these huge companies have been around for years. If you go to their social pages, there's not very many, if any, product photos on their social media pages. And the reason behind that is because they are selling you an experience. They're selling you a feeling, an emotion, a vibe, right? Whatever it is, that's what they're selling. And so social selling can be super powerful because it's basically bringing what we're doing right here in person just to the masses, right? And so we're just exposing in that way. So that's why I started, because I got two little ones. I don't have time to knock on every door and be at every market, though it's fun and I love to do those things. I just, it's impossible. And I have such a bigger reach through this, and I get to tell my story and interact, and I have a bigger net online. So that's why I started with the social selling.
I love this so much because you are exactly right. They're buying you. there are so many coffees out there. I mean, it's just like we're in the health world, and there are so many good health programs out there, but really what we're selling is us as coaches, us as individuals. You can trust us, and you can trust that we've done the research behind everything, and that's exactly what you're talking about. They can trust, I can trust that you've done the research, and I trust you. I don't necessarily, because I do drink coffee. I absolutely love it. But I am not 100% convinced of which coffee to buy because I don't know if I trust the person who is producing it. But yet I'm buying you because, which I just kind of gave it away, but I'm buying you because I trust you. I know you, I like you, and I trust you. And I love that you can do that through social media. Okay, so what are your plans for the future? We have just a few minutes left.
Future, really, for me, this was actually such a joy for me. I have been looking forward to this, and I don't just say it because I'm here. I've really been talking about this because I slowly have been invited to things like this or podcasts, and I feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose, right? I started with that. That's my purpose. I want to put all of these things to work, and I don't really care which vehicle or coffee bean or whatever gets me to that point. I just want to connect with people and help everybody, and help myself and grow, and just really bring our communities back to the forefront and the center of the conversation. And so this is really it. My plan is to build a coffee empire, and hopefully maybe a little speaking empire while I'm at it too.
I love this so much. And yeah, you have a platform for the kingdom of God as well. And I love that. That's what we're about here as well. So how can we find you other than everybody asking me how to find Heather?
So you can find me on Facebook personally as Heather Joas, and I think my name probably shows up down there. You can find the coffee. It's Pour, P-O-U-R, Offroad. There's Pour Offroad Coffee Company. That is our handle on everything: Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So we're on just about everything, and that's the website too, pouroffroad.com. I just want to be your friend. If you love my coffee, that's great, but you can definitely add me on any platform. Say hello. I try to get back to everybody as quickly as I can.
She does. She's great at communicating. We've been chatting back and forth for a while now. So, and I just adore you. I can't say that enough. And so I'll put this out on Facebook if that's all right. And I'll put it out on YouTube, and I'll put your links in the comments section. So is there anything else you want to share with us?
I don't think so. I just want to say thank you again. I've probably said a bunch, but I really am grateful, and I really am. So thank you for giving me a little bit of your time tonight, and I hope I get to connect with everybody soon.
Oh, I'm just so jazzed to know you. Okay, so Sherry and Yvonne, do you have any questions for Heather?
No, maybe. I'm super excited. Thank you for sharing your story and for putting yourself out there, because you've really encouraged me that whatever little piece of my story I have that I've grown from, that somebody else is going to value that. I have learned. I've not really taken notes, but I've definitely written some things down that I know I can apply to what's going on in my life because of you taking the time to do this. So thank you. And I'm on the fence about coffee. I've seen all of this bad review about coffee, and that, oh, it dehydrates you. No, it doesn't dehydrate you. And I'm like, and I'll be honest, I drank a Starbucks today, wired me to the tilt. And I'm like, I can't do this no more. But I like coffee, so I want to be educated. Is it really okay for me to drink coffee? Okay. What should I stay away from, and what should I look for? And I'm going to follow you and probably order yours, but just saying all those things.
No, well, first off, that just like brought my whole heart. So I appreciate that. And I mean it. There's been moments in my life where I've been through things, and in those moments I don't even understand, right? Like, we're always why. That's our nature, why. And then down the road, it's phenomenal. You end up in a place with a person that's going through what you went through, and you're so far past it that almost you've forgotten that you went through it until somebody else basically reads your story to you, and you're like, this is why, because I was right here at this moment for this person, and that's why I went through it, and I didn't know, but now I know, right? So I mean, anyway, thank you for that. And as far as coffee, like this is what I tell everybody: in moderation, which is a crazy word, but in moderation. I am super sensitive to caffeine, even though I'm the coffee lady, right? So like, I'm not one that drinks a gallon all day because I can't. I'll be done. And so, you know, it's all just personal preference and what you've got going on. But I just say all things in moderation, and you will be fine.
I love it. Thank you.
I love this so much. And yes, coffee is good for your brain. So in moderation. It's tough on the adrenals if you drink too much. So
never
Exactly.
more than 1 cup a day for me. It's never more than 1 cup a day.
oh
You
my
know,
God. Yeah.
It's-
Well, I have stories to tell on when it was a lot more than 1 cup a day for me. And recovering from adrenal fatigue is not fun. So
No, definitely not.
anyhow, yeah, we could talk forever. See how fun she is? I mean,
Yeah.
I love it.
best friends all of a sudden. So anyway, okay,
I love it.
thank you so much, Heather. And I will be in touch with you because I have been watching you and I was waiting for this moment to say, I am subscribing to Heather's
You're so sweet.
Oh,
Thank you.
I am all about people. We're all about people and investing in people. And I really want to invest in you and have you here and just support your mission, because we are all women on a mission to make a difference in the world. You know, for us, we want to help people age well. And for you, you know, you want to make a difference as well. And I love that. I love that so much. Sherry, you have any questions for Heather? She's been trying. She's been poking.
Okay. I'm on my phone, so it's I'm usually on my computer. So, yeah, I just appreciate your honesty and your transparency and your story. And I already found you on Facebook. I'm following you.
Yay! Thank you.
So yeah, thank you so much for that. I have 2 kiddos who are past Starbucks baristas, so we are coffee lovers in our house.
Big coffee family there.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. But thank you so much for what you're doing. And
Yes. Yes.
I love watching, you know, strong women and women trying to make a difference in the workforce and
I love that.
being their own persons and, you know, providing for their families. God bless you for staying home with your kiddos. You know, that's so important.
Yep.
Absolutely. No, thank you. And again, blessing in disguise, right? Not something former trainer, go-getter probably would have chosen, right?
Yep.
And it's going to be the biggest blessing of my life, you know?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I love that so much, and I love you, and we will connect. So
Yes. Awesome.
thanks for jumping
you.
on. You're fabulous.
Thanks.
You're fabulous.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks so much.